Evening, everybody. It's a real privilege to be here this evening to celebrate with all of you the launch of Interbrand's inaugural Best Sri Lankan Brand Study. As you heard, I'm the Global Director of Brand Valuation, so I'm based in London. I've over about 20 years of experience in valuing brands, and as well as overseeing the work here for the Best Sri Lankan Brands Study, I also oversee Best Global Brands and all of the other studies that we publish around the world. My role this evening is to spend 10 to 15 minutes to give you a bit of an overview as to how Interbrand thinks about value creation through brands, how we actually conduct a brand valuation, and to think about a few possible learnings for Sri Lankan businesses as they seek to create strong brands within Sri Lanka, but also as they seek to grow abroad as well. So, strong brands drive sustainable competitive advantage for their businesses, and they do that because they give people a reason to choose beyond price and beyond features. When someone buys a Mac, a computer from Apple, they're not buying a hard disk with 500 gig memory, 64 megabit RAM and a 20-inch screen. They're buying into Apple. They're buying a device that they know is going to be seamless, intuitive, that it's just going to work. And it's going to work with all of the other devices in their home. When people buy a car from BMW, they're not buying a transport vehicle that does 50 miles to the gallon, has an inbuilt sat-nav and some nice leather seats. They're buying the feeling that you get when you sit behind the wheel of the ultimate driving machine. So, we're talking about brands today. We're celebrating the best global brands. What actually is a brand? There are lots of definitions. This is Interbrand's. A brand is a living business asset brought to life across all touch points, which, if properly managed, creates identification, differentiation, and value. There are lots of different elements to that definition, but the piece that I really just want to focus in on is this idea of brand as a business asset. So your brand is like your factory, your buildings, your plant and machinery. It's like the hotel that we're sitting in tonight. It's like your people. All of these things are business assets. Your brand is also a business asset. And just like your plant and machinery, just like the factories, it should be managed consistently, systematically, and carefully over time. And at Interbrand, we talk about different ages of branding. The first being the age of identity. So this really is branding in its most traditional form. It's creating a name, creating a logo, creating a visual identity, maybe a tone of voice for the brand. And really it's all about driving recognition. So in the age of identity, we're trying to help customers navigate a cluttered marketplace. We're trying to help them find us, recognize us, know that the product or service they're buying is coming from a specific source that they trust. And we're looking to help to speed up their decision-making process. They've got so many things they need to do in any particular day. The brand gives value to a consumer because it's helped to speed up and helps them make decisions. So one of the key goals in the age of identity is differentiation. We need to stand out. We need our identity to be distinctive. We need to be easily recognized in the market. And we think about what do we need to measure in the age of identity? Well, ultimately, we're just interested in awareness. We need to drive that recognition, and so we need to drive awareness of our identity and our name. So what that leads to in terms of brand strategy and the role that branding plays within an organization tends to look something a little bit like this, where we have brand as a kind of function of the marketing department. Its role is to drive awareness. So fundamentally, the brand teams tend to focus on one-way broadcast communication, advertising, effectively. And so our role as builders of brands, as custodians of brands in these businesses, is creating and managing that identity. The next age of branding is the age of value, and that's the age I believe that Sri Lanka is in today. This is where brand is really starting to be seen as a business asset. Business leaders recognize that brands are business assets, and they start to really think about how to manage those assets systematically over time. And thinking about, well, what are the different levers that they can pull? So in the age of value, we start to see much more significant investments being made in understanding the customer. Significant investment in market research, and much more, rather than the kind of the one-way broadcast communication approach, in the age of value, we're starting to see much more two-way dialogue, mechanisms being put in place to encourage feedback from customers, and then processes inside an organisation to ensure that that feedback is actually used to shape future products and services. So I think we were hearing earlier on about this idea of putting people at the heart of the business and being much more customer-centric. And this is what we see in the age of value. And as you might expect, we also see businesses starting to take a much more systematic, considered and consistent approach to the creation of value, business value, through strong brands. So really understanding the role that the brand plays within the organisation. How does the brand drive business results? What are the levers that we can pull through branding to enhance our business performance? Can we drive more choice? Can we build a stronger brand to create a higher price premium in the market? Can we create more repeat purchase and loyalty? And so the role of brand strategy in the age of value is to bring business strategy to life. It stops being part of the marketing function and becomes something that is really very, very closely aligned to business strategy. And brand strategy then influences everything that a business does, not just its communication, but its products, its services, the way its people behave, the channels it goes to market, the physical environments that it sells in. So a much more holistic approach that really influences much more of what the business does. So we move from being creators and managers of identity to measuring and managing value. And we know this works. This is so we've heard of Best Global Brands, we've talked about it. We actually started that study in 2000. What this chart shows is that if you had invested in the companies that we have published in that ranking each year since 2000, you would have significantly outperformed the Morgan Stanley World Index. So some evidence that brands, really kind of well-managed brands, really drive business results. So how do we look at this whole area, valuation methodology? Well, we look at three things. This is our methodology. This is the methodology we use for best Sri Lankan brands, for best global brands, or any private kind of project valuation as well. We use a consistent methodology across the board. Financial forecasts are the foundation of the valuation. We use very traditional discounted cash flow analysis, much like equity analysts would, or anybody valuing a business. There are two elements of the brand that we look at. The first is role of brand. So role of brand is the influence of the brand in driving choice. So the more power, we talked earlier about strong brands giving people reasons to choose beyond price and features. Well, the more powerful a brand you create and can build, the more influence it will have over the way people choose, versus some of those more rational factors like price and features, for example. And then the third brand analysis component to our methodology is brand strength. You've seen this in an earlier presentation. This is our primary diagnostic framework. So this is really where we start to dig into a brand and think about where is it strong or weak and what do we need to do next. We have 4 internal factors and 6 external factors. Those internal factors are really critical because we have a very strong point of view that you have to build a strong brand inside an organisation for it to be strong in the outside world with your customers. So really important to have clarity internally, commitment, governance, responsiveness, etc. And you saw again a version of this slide earlier. For best Sri Lankan brands and for best global brands, everything we do is based on external information only. So it's a completely level playing field. We don't use any company's internal data. So it's very, very objective and apples with apples in terms of the way we compare and benchmark all of the brands across our studies. If we're working with a client on a valuation, we will try to bring in a whole range of different data sources to inform the valuation. Employee data, customer data, all of these are mapped into our 10 different brand strength factors in order to give an overall score, which influences the valuation, but also to ensure that we've really kind of got all of the data that we can use within your business to then drive insights for brand strategy. We capture that information in a kind of very dynamic online dashboard, and that can be used to disseminate information across the organisation. You saw a more interactive video version of one of those dashboards in Ashish's presentation. We also want to make sure that we bring business KPIs into these dashboards so that we've got brand and business KPIs together. And over time, we can understand the relationships between those and what we're doing from a brand perspective, how that's influencing the business. And ideally, this is a systematic process, something that's done on a potentially an annual basis, where we would first measure, so we look at the value of the brand, the financial analysis, the role of brand, and the brand strength. We take that data and we diagnose. We look at the data, we understand, see what it's telling us, and we derive insights from that data. We take those insights into the activation phase, where we would work with, in workshops, in cross-functional teams within your organisations to really activate the brand strategy, to decide what actions need to be taken, where is the brand weak, where are the opportunity areas, where are the growth opportunities, which levers do we need to pull. And I'm just going to end with a quick case study, which is Samsung. So Samsung came to us in 1998. In 98, Samsung was primarily a B2B chipset manufacturer, trying to break into the consumer world, but struggling, up against brands like Sony and Nokia at the time. So they asked us to conduct a evaluation of the brand, and their brief was to first of all help them to bridge that gap between them and the competition, but also to shift the mindset inside Samsung, which is very engineering oriented, to shift that mindset and to get people in the business to understand the importance of marketing, the importance of brand building, not just the importance of creating the next shiny, new engineered device. So we did that valuation, we showed where the gaps were, we gave clear recommendations on how they could kind of start to close those gaps. And we also embedded a KPI system within the business so that the marketing, the various people around the organisation were KPI'd on various elements of the brand valuation to help to try and shift that mindset within the business. And over time, that valuation work has gained more and more traction to the point where now brand value is really at the heart of Samsung's long-term strategy. So they have a Vision 2020 where they've stated they want to be a top 5 global brand within Best Global Brands. And we work with them every year, going through exactly that process about measuring, diagnosing and activating to come up with recommendations to continually help to strengthen the brand in what has been obviously a very rapid changing environment. So I'll just leave you with some lessons or learnings that I kind of thought came out from our experience of working with Samsung. First is be very clear about what you want to stand for in the market. Samsung's purpose is around accelerating discoveries and possibilities. It defined that many years ago, and it's been really true to that in everything that it's done over the time since then. Second learning is never stand still. Since we started working with Samsung, there's been so much change in terms of technology, in terms of their competitor set. Samsung is relentless and tireless in terms of thinking about new ways to bring that purpose of accelerating discoveries and possibilities to life for its consumers. And the final learning is take the long view. This is almost 20 years now that we've been working with Samsung on this valuation, and it's clear that for all brands, Sri Lankan brands, that to really build strong, powerful brands that drive choice, that drive competitive advantage, is a long-term endeavour, and one that we should start as soon as possible. Thank you very much.